Major League Cricket teams are bringing in expertise from around the cricketing world to assist with high performance and player development. One of these partnerships was announced recently between the Washington, D.C. franchise and Cricket New South Wales. Joining me today is a very special guest, Cricket New South Wales CEO, Lee Germon. Lee, thank you for joining me.
Nice to be here.
Well, I know you're very busy, and I know that these time zones don't work out too well. So we managed to find a sweet spot in our schedules. Going back to your start, where you began, you were named the captain of New Zealand in 1995, where you made your debut in the Test team as captain, though you had already played in some ODIs. I mean, that's a very important role. Obviously, the wicketkeeper role is very important, but you had a nice taste of leadership there. You had a lot of leadership experience, and you've kept with that throughout your career after cricket, with soccer and rugby, and going back to become the CEO of Canterbury Cricket, where you played your first class cricket, and the CEO of Sydney Thunder, and now the CEO of Cricket New South Wales since 2019. That is a very quick overview of a very busy career. So I hope that I hope it doesn't bother you that I sped through it that much.
No, not at all. I'd much rather talk about other things than me. But I suppose what I would say is that, it's been a real pleasure and a privilege for me to be able to initially sort of make a career out of playing the sport that I love, and cricket is what I love. But then also to be able to, via a couple of detours, work in cricket as well. I tell our staff here, and we've got quite a few, we've got about 150 staff plus 70 players at Cricket New South Wales, and I always say I just feel lucky that I don't feel I come to work any day, because I'm just involved in the sport that I love. So I'm very lucky.
That's great. Do you think that helps you? I'm sure when you retire from playing cricket and you go into the administrative side, it's a little easier on you. You don't quit cold turkey. You get to stay connected to the game. I'm sure that matters a lot to you.
It does. I think I was lucky that I sort of stepped out of cricket a little bit administratively. So, my background was in marketing after I finished cricket. I worked in a bank, corporate marketing in a bank for 5 years, and then I came back into the sports administration space and then into the cricket space. So I think that just that little gap helped give me a bit more perspective on life.
Right.
As a professional sports person, you lose perspective, right? That's not the real world. So I was able to get back into the real world and then come back into it.
Well, right now you're the CEO of Cricket New South Wales, and the club system in club cricket in Australia has an absolutely excellent reputation for being incredibly difficult. And so there's no wonder that Australia creates such good cricketers, considering how difficult it is at pretty much every serious level of cricket in Australia.
Yeah, and Australia, and that was one of the the attractions of me moving from New Zealand to Australia as well, Nate, was that Australia also has a lot going for it from a cricket perspective. It is the one truly national sport. Other sports are played, but not as comprehensively around the country as cricket is.
Right.
It's got a wonderful tradition, background, got great weather, great infrastructure, and it's part of the social fabric. So it's got a lot going for it. And you're right, it's got a high quality of competition, particularly here in New South Wales. And that has led to the development of some great players. And at the moment, for example, the Australian Test team pretty much has half of them are New South Welshmen.
Right.
So it's something that we're very conscious of trying to continue as well.
Right, and you also have two of the BBL teams. Two of the BBL franchises are right there. There's only one other organization that has two, and that would be Victoria. And you guys have a lot. You have a lot more titles than they do. I hopefully I'm not offending any Victorians watching here.
You'll be offending the Victorians, but that's okay. We don't mind that. That's that's all right. We do. I often say our organisation is, and you can't be quite unique, but it's quite different in the sense that we have 6 professional teams, but we also look after community cricket or participation as well. And normally sports organisations do one or the other. They're focused on the high performance end, or they're focused on just the grassroots. But we really, I describe it as going from the cradle to the grave. Yeah, and in between we have professional teams. We have 70 professional cricketers, which is about the same as an NFL roster. So it's,
Right.
yeah, it's quite big. But you're right, we have 2 BBL teams out of the 8.
So with all this experience bringing you to where you are today, now you've spotted an opportunity with Major League Cricket to help grow the Cricket New South Wales product. As you said, you have a cradle to grave operation there. That really helps you guys kind of like tailor everything. If you believe in what you're doing, it really helps you make sure that there's quality all the way up the ladder. You connect the entire chain yourselves, which is absolute. I mean, that is an advantage for certain. And now you can do things like make partnerships with leagues around the world. We have this northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere kind of perfect situation, some harmony where Americans can go down in Australia and play, and Australians can come up to USA and play. And I'm sure that goes into the decision to make this partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just see such wonderful opportunity to grow our sport, cricket in the United States. Yeah, we had an all-staff meeting here a couple of days ago, and I said to our staff, do you realise who the 2 teams that played the very first international game of cricket in the United States and Canada, right?
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Oh, really? Yeah, not many people know that. I do think Canada might have won. I'm not sure, but
it's true. It's true. Yeah.
And that, in many ways, cricket had come into the States before baseball even, and we've got such wonderful supporters in the States. So, what we're looking at really, Nate, is that we have an ambition to be a world-class organisation, not just a world-class cricket organisation. And we realise that to do that, we need to have really strong strategic partnerships. We don't know everything, and we'd love to find out and learn more from those people that know more than us. And this was a great opportunity for us. It really came about when I was in the States in the middle of last year. I met up with the Major League Cricket guys in San Francisco, and I was very, very impressed by not only their focus on Major League Cricket, the professional T20 league, but also their, alongside US cricket, their motivation to really grow the whole cricket ecosystem and develop cricket in the whole country. I know that's easier said than done, right? But what it appealed to us, it appealed to us that we might be able to help here. We've sort of got a cricket ecosystem. We've got some transferable skills, some IP, and if we can help grow the game in a growing market, let's try and give it a go.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I've really liked about Major League is they have made some very good partnerships and they've hired good people. You're from New Zealand. We have the head grounds curator of Major League Cricket is from Australia, but he was the curator at Seddon Park in New Zealand. And now he works for Major League Cricket. He actually did our ground locally here in North Carolina, in Morrisville, North Carolina, at Church Street Park. So
who's that?
His name is Dave Agnew.
Dave Agnew, yes, right, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of transferability of skills, and I know there's another groundsman, Mark Perham from New Zealand, who's been involved as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting some good people involved.
Yeah. Dave is a fantastic guy. I've gotten to spend a lot of time with him. When they hired him and brought him on, I was thrilled. He's a really good person, but he also has this great urge to teach people, to help people out, and it's just part of who he is. And that's the type of thing that I like to see when they bring in people like this. I'd love to see that. It just spells good things for the future here for cricket. And actually, you joined up with the DC franchise, which I actually grew up in that area, and the deal recently with not the deal, it's not a deal yet, but they're looking into the potential of developing a stadium there at George Mason University, which is already a well-trafficked area for arenas. They have an arena there that's very, very busy, and so I love that idea. I know when you have $120 million that they're putting into this league for the first year, when you have that much money, it sounds like a lot of money, but venue development is a very expensive thing. It can take up the whole budget right away, especially here in the USA, especially in the DC area where buildings, they have laws where buildings can only be so high because of the monuments and stuff. So everything has to spread out this way. It runs out of space pretty quick. And so you have to get creative. The Washington Capitals built their practice facility on top of an existing mall parking garage. The Capitals are my favorite NHL team. And so you have to get creative like that in the DC area. So I think this is a very good solution. So I already like what the DC franchise is doing, making strides with the venue and now making a deal with you guys. What can we look forward to as far as our players, the American players? What's their end of the deal looking like?
Yeah, so sort of two strands to this, really, Nate. So we've formed a couple of partnerships. One is with Major League Cricket as sort of the parent company. And the essence of that partnership is that we want to help build the whole ecosystem within the country if we can. You know, coach development, player development, academy development, all that stuff. And part of that partnership is that we will welcome United States representative teams down here to Australia to play against our representative teams. And likewise, outbound tours. We'll bring individual players into. We've just moved into a brand new facility here, about $80 million. I think it's the best cricket training facility in the world, actually.
Oh, wow.
And so we would bring US-based players here to train and be part of our high-performance squads and then go back. And then the other partnership is with the Washington, D.C. franchise with Sanjay Govil itself, and Sanjay being the lead investor in that. And that is essentially around almost a plug-and-play opportunity to say, well, we know T20 cricket. We run two clubs. We've done it for 12, 13 years. We can almost come in here and really hopefully give the Washington franchise a head start in terms of where it goes and where it operates.
Right.
But part of that is also that there'll be regulations around local players having to be part of those squads. Right. So we've already got two people on the ground there. We've got Michael Klinger. Michael played for Australia. He's the head of male elite cricket for us. And alongside him is a guy called Patrick Farhart, who heads our Triple SM. Patrick spent, I think, 10 years with the Indian national team as one of the world's best practitioners of cricket Triple SM. And we've also got a guy on the ground doing some talent ID for us now already. And so those guys are there. They actually visited the university yesterday to look at the site.
Great.
And part of that is saying, okay, who's the best local talent? How can we develop them? How do we bring that into both the Washington, D.C. franchise and also give them the opportunity to spend time with us? So in terms of your question about what can local players look forward to, it's two-pronged, really. On the ground in Washington and the States, we want to add some real value to the quality of training and coaching they'll get. And secondly, opportunities to come and be with us for a period of time, be a part of a BBL team, a Big Bash team for a month, play some Premier cricket here and train with us, develop their skills and experience and knowledge, and then go back. So that's essentially where we're looking to add some real value.
Well, yeah, that's all of that sounds fantastic to me. I had assumed the part about coming down and being a part of clubs and teams there in New South Wales, but the thing I was most excited about was the idea of putting things in place here that they can continue to grow. That's incredibly important. Infrastructure here is, and not just physical infrastructure, but systems and the way of doing things. If we get off to a good start here with Major League, it's really gonna help us out a lot. We won't be spinning tires.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the appeal for us, is that it's helping build that whole cricket ecosystem or family or community within the States somehow, and provide opportunities for people to experience the sport that we want them to experience. We've also got experience, as I say, we've just built this facility here, which has an ICC International Cricket compliant ground. Here, it's got 40 training wickets out the back. It's got our administration office, training and recovery. And my background was with Canterbury. We built an international ground there. So we've got some expertise we can bring to the university project as well. And that's where we would like to offer some value too.
Well, yeah, that's excellent. Yeah. $80 million, that's like, NCAA Division I top tier level money for facilities that you see like some of these big universities putting out there. So that's going to make some good facilities for sure. Now, have you had a chance to watch any of the minor league cricket games, any of the premium streams or anything like that from last season?
Yeah, I have. I've seen some of them, and I thought that the standard was pretty good. And we've already had players here express interest in wanting to play. A lot of it is around the timing. The timing is perfect for us, Nate. As I think in your intro, you mentioned about the timing. It's a great timing for us in terms of being our off season. Players want to go and play. Yes, definitely they want to play in the major league, but we see real opportunity in our players coming into minor league cricket as well and playing there too. So absolutely, that's on our radar. I know it's a pretty well established minor league now, and we're keen to see how we can have players take part in that too.
Yeah, that's great. I know there are some Australians that have some roots here in the USA. I know Curtis Patterson, his wife, is from Virginia.
Yes.
I've got to meet him. He's a really, really great guy, nice guy, really thoughtful person, big basketball fan too. So
well, KP's captain of our team at the moment here in New South Wales. So yeah, he's definitely one. Steve Smith is a guy that loves going to New York. And Steve is one of the best players in the world, of course. So
of course,
but it's amazing when it became sort of public that we were doing this. The number of people that have expressed interest in wanting to go there.
Oh, that's excellent. I mean, minor league does have. We had Rakeem Cornwall in the minor league last year. We've had some very big name players play in the minor league. It's a good quality league. It only helps the league to have very, very good foreign players to come over and contribute. So I look forward to that relationship, what that might even bring for minor league too, not just to major league. I think there's a lot of great opportunities there. And as these major league franchises grow and they learn about how cricket works in the USA, and as they learn these lessons, each of these teams and each of these partnerships learn this together, because honestly, it's more than just about how cricket works in the USA. This is a whole new territory for everyone here. This is a whole new frontier. So there are lessons for everyone to learn. The people who have never left this country are going to be learning lessons from this. And so as these lessons are learned, I anticipate how that will trickle down through minor league and even lower into the youth cricket. But I tend to focus on the minor league, and I'd love to see some of these minor league franchises make partnerships with the major league franchises to tie it all together and to connect every rung of the ladder.
It makes a lot of sense. If you look at sort of the way we're viewing it, and we don't know what we don't know either, Nate. This is sort of we're not the experts on the cricket in the United States, but we will learn lots too. But if you look at the top down, bottom up process here, almost the top down is your major league franchise. But that's not going to be successful without having the pathway system underneath it. And I think it's a really good idea of yours. It's almost developing a farm system to feed through to Major League Cricket, which is where minor league cricket would come into it. Exactly. So absolutely. I see more and more emphasis being placed on minor league cricket. The talent identification opportunities will come out of that competition, and local players will get the opportunity, and overseas players, to show what they can do to be picked up by a Major League Cricket franchise.
Yeah, totally. It's it can work out really harmoniously that way, and that would set trends for everything else. So I look forward to.
There has to be that inspiration. There has to be that where to from here, because we need the young kids in the United States wanting to pick up a cricket bat and ball, knowing that they can actually make a career out of cricket, for example. And I know there's a lot of sports they can in the States, but that's really important. So seeing heroes and people make careers out of cricket in the pathway and having that visible is really important to the youngsters.
Oh, no question about it. And as people like John Boy Media on YouTube continue to expose Americans to cricket, he'll post a video about a cricket play. He's got such a good audience that's curious, and it'll be something will happen, a great catch at the boundary, and 700,000 Americans have just seen a cricket play that they've never seen in their lives. It's things like this all happening at the same time are really exciting to me, because you want to have, you always want to be looking to bring new people into the sport. And I know that Australia, even though that's your sport there, I know that you guys are still looking to bring new people into the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. So here at Cricket New South Wales, got a lot of goals, because we span high performance, as I've explained. But our most important goal, what we call our WIG, our wildly important goal, is to double the number of 5 to 12-year-olds playing our game by 2026.
Great.
So we understand that the top of the funnel is so important for us. And to your point, having 700,000 people view a wonderful outfield catch, many of them might then say, you know what, I quite like my child to have a go at cricket. There needs to be the opportunity for that to happen. So you did right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, very exciting time for cricket in the USA. And you mentioned you want to double the amount of kids that play sports. And part of doing that, at least in the United States, I don't know how things are going in Australia, but in the United States right now, there's such a focus on travel sports. And there's such a de-emphasis on local recreational sports. And to me, you obviously build into the travel sport via the recreational sport. You got to get kids to try the sport for the first time where they're not so far behind the eight ball that they can't catch up. So yeah, then that means making it accessible. You have to make it accessible for kids, and that means cost. That means availability in their neighborhood. So you got to get into the public aspect. The municipalities and stuff. And so I look forward to a future where all those avenues are connected together too. And I think when we bring minds together from around the world who really just want the game to grow, and see the potential here in the USA, we're going to be able to see each other's blind spots, I think, and find and fill in those gaps until cricket is as popular as it can be.
Yeah, and that's what comes from partnerships. What we don't know, someone else knows. And if we can partner with that person, we bring the whole circle together.
Right.
Yeah. So absolutely right. It needs to be accessible. The right format needs to be played. It needs to be attractive to kids. All that stuff needs to come in, and that won't happen overnight. It's a long game, and we need to be aware of that.
Yeah. And you mentioned the right format. That's, to me, always been a big strength of cricket. It's also, depending on how you look at it, it's an identity crisis on one hand, and on the other hand, it's options. It gives you options.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. Identity. Is it T20 one day, Test cricket, 2-day cricket? What is it? What do I follow? What do I play?
Right.
But society's moving. We know that people want shorter, sharper, faster experiences. Yeah. There's a place for Test cricket. It's a wonderful vehicle. Fantastic.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, but equally, not many of our modern society want to play a full day at a sport. They want to play for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and that's where a revised format can really can provide that from a cricket perspective. Yeah,
for sure. I would love to play cricket all day personally, but
me too. I know. I hear these parents say, "I don't want to be sitting on a cricket ground a whole day watching my daughter or son play cricket." And I'm going, I can't think of anything better. That sounds like heaven to me. Fantastic. But not everyone's like us.
Well, right. And I'm also a little too old for that. USA and Australia, we got a lot of things in common. I know you're from New Zealand, but you're in Australia now. You've been there for a little while. We do have a lot of things in common. One of those things is sports. Both countries are crazy about sports. You guys have, and we also have our unique sports. We have sports here that aren't or didn't used to be played anywhere else. And you've got your sports. You've got Aussie rules football, which is absolutely insane. The people are kicking each other in the back to jump off of each other. As a New Zealander, do you also think that Aussie rules football is insane?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll tell you what I have done though, and I've been over here over 5 years now, is that I've gained a real appreciation for the athleticism of those players. Incredible.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It is incredible.
We
love the sport in the States here. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my son, he's back home in New Zealand still, but he's a Boston Celtics fan. Yeah, he absolutely loves it. When I was over last year, I went to Yankees Red Sox game at Yankee Stadium.
Oh wow,
brilliant!
Yeah,
it's really well followed here. Basketball is followed here, particularly the NBA. So
of course, yeah,
you're right. Sport has played such a major part in both countries. Social fabric and growth and meaning and all sorts of things. So you're right. There's a lot of parallels.
I really I like talking every time I meet an Australian. It's like they're following the NBA closer than I am usually. I like the NBA. I think it's a great league. I'm a big sports fan in general. I have an appreciation for anyone who's out there making a living playing a sport. It's a really hard thing to do. There's no guarantees. There's
harder than you think, I reckon.
I'm sure.
You look at the good bits. And there are some great bits, aren't there? Obviously, to be a professional athlete.
Sure.
But there are some bits that you wouldn't want, that you wouldn't wish on other people as well.
No. I'm sure of it. I think a lot of people don't realize how, for the average professional athlete, your career is hanging in the balance at all times.
And so people criticize the amount of money athletes get, but what they've got to realize is that the average tenure of a professional athlete is very short.
Yes. Yeah.
Very short. You'll see the great ones who play for a period of time, long period of time. But for every great one that does that, there's probably 20 that don't, at least.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think the average NFL career is something like 2.5 years or something like that in the NFL. And then the average age of death of an NFL player is like around 60 years old. So there's a massive trade-off there. Like, that is not a healthy sport. It's not a great, they're taking a lot of risks playing that sport. And not every sport's that extreme, but that gives you an idea of how extreme it can be.
Yeah. It's also the beauty of cricket. You can play cricket at any age. That doesn't tend to take its physical toll too much. And we have professional cricketers who are getting close to 40, still being able to play the game. I think the way the world's moving, with more T20 leagues and maybe less international cricket, I think you're going to see guys play longer and longer now, and they're going to be able to, because T20 cricket is less difficult on your body.
Well, right, and T20 cricket gives opportunities where you didn't used to be. Like, I mean, the pinnacle of cricket is international cricket. But if that was where all the opportunities were, if that was the only place opportunities were, there's, what is that, 20 slots, 25 slots or so per nation to have a professional career. There needs to be more than that just to sustain the sport.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the changing face of our sport now. So
right.
Once Major League Cricket comes on board, there'll be 10 T20 global leagues around the world.
Right.
And probably half of those will have some Indian Premier League influence. It's their clubs or owners or whatever it might be. And you're going to see more and more players opt out of national contracts. So we're heading towards sort of the international soccer model. You'll see some players opt out of international contracts, which they're doing now. Trent Bolt has done that for New Zealand.
Right.
And they'll play 3 or 4 T20 leagues, less time away from home, less difficult on the body, probably more money. So that's the changing nature of cricket that we're heading into.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's, there's always a discussion about what's the better version of the future for cricket. That's always ongoing. Sometimes you just can't stop whatever's going to happen. It's just, you mentioned soccer, football, soccer, the windows, the international windows, I think are a great thing. Now with cricket, international cricket is such a big thing that, the idea of having international windows that are fixed around franchise cricket is very offensive to a whole lot of people.
It is. That's right.
But when you think about the opportunities to sustain the sport, and when you think about the careers in the sport, there are so few people playing that international version of the game that if it dominates the calendar, it squeezes out the professional chances for people in a lot of ways. I mean, I don't want to get it's tough, I don't want to get too cricket politics, but it's like you need to have a balance somehow, where the franchise leagues can exist and can get the players that are going to bring the eyes to the franchise leagues, and also the players who never are going to make it to international cricket, but they have some great skills. You played for New Zealand, you can be the 4th best cricketer in your country and the 3rd best at your position, at your role at the same time. That does happen. And so that guy, years and years ago, that you never would have heard of that guy. Now that guy might be playing in the IPL.
Exactly. And I think this is just without getting into the heavy politics, I agree. But it's actually so I've got some watering going on the oval beside me. You can probably hear it.
Yeah, it sounds great.
It's not rain. It's actually our groundsman watering the ground. But this is about being open, and at International Cricket Council being open, clubs being open, states, etc., being open to what is the best for our sport, and
Right.
working together for that, rather than being territorial. Because you're right, the world's changing, people's expectations are changing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, on that note, I think we should wrap up the call, wrap up the episode. But it's great to have you. It's great talking to you. I really enjoyed it. I feel like I could talk to you the rest of the night. It's evening here, but
What time are you at there?
it's 6:10 p.m. Eastern time. I'm on the same time zone as New
dinner.
York.
You got dinner on the table. The family's there waiting for you.
Right. But excellent talking to you, and thank you for making time for me.
Anytime you want another chat, just reach out, Nate. No problem.
Sounds great.
Real pleasure. Thank you very much. Thanks for your interest. I appreciate it.
Oh man, thank you.